I'm Isa Borgia, the daughter of the most powerful Don in Corvina. My father worries I'll marry the wrong man on a whim, so he arranges for me to be engaged to Luca, the rising heir of the Marino family. It's an arranged marriage, but that doesn't mean I've lost all my say. The very least I can do is choose a ring I genuinely like. So, I go to the Mafia auction. When the diamond ring appears as the final jewel of the night, I lift my paddle. Just before the gavel falls, an arrogant voice comes from behind me.
A country bumpkin like you thinks you can compete with me? Do yourself a favor and leave.
The auction hall goes quiet for a few seconds. The only sound comes from the camera shutters clicking around the hall. I turn and see a woman in a gold couture gown. Her mouth curves in a casual smile as if she owns the place. Before I can say a word, the auctioneer rushes to close the bid.
Sold! Congratulations to Miss Sofia Lopez for winning the final lot, the Eternal Star!
My brows pull tight, and a hot spike of anger rises in my chest. You ended the bidding early. Do you even follow the rules here? Sofia turns around and gives me a once-over, her gaze sharp as a blade.
Rules?
She lets out a cold laugh.
Come on. I'm Luca Marino's favorite godsister. Around here, I make the rules.
I can't help but laugh. What a coincidence. So, she's my fiancé's godsister. I pull out my phone and call him. Luca, your godsister just snatched the engagement ring I picked out. How are you going to handle this? It seemed like Sofia Lopez wasn't just a godsister to Luca Marino. If Luca couldn't give me a good explanation, this engagement was off the table. I called the number I'd saved but never once dialed. Once the call connected, I went straight to the point. Your godsister is trying to snatch the engagement ring I chose. What do you have to say about that? Silence hung for a moment. Then, a cold, unfamiliar voice came through the line.
Who is this? Whatever's going on between Sofia and me isn't something an outsider gets to question.
Before I could say my name, he had already hung up. I stared at the dark screen for a second and let out an incredulous laugh. Obviously, he hadn't even saved my number. Sofia's laughter cut through the crowd, sharp with smug delight.
Pathetic. You somehow got Luca's number and actually think that means he knows you? God, you're cracking me up.
She tilted her chin and twisted a lock of hair around her fingers while looking me over again.
Seriously, look at what you're wearing. Even the nannies in the Marino family dress better than you.
The lackeys around her couldn't hold back and burst into mocking laughter. I had always believed comfort mattered more than designer labels, but in a hall drowning in diamonds and custom gowns, no one here cared about that belief. I pressed my lips together, heat rising up my chest. So, you're still judging people by logos? You're unbelievably shallow. Lucas sure had special taste when picking his godsister. Thanks to her stunt, I wasn't in the mood for the auction anymore. I turned to the auctioneer and pointed straight at the Eternal Star ring in the display case. I want to activate the automatic bidding system. Whatever she offers, I'll pay double.
Miss, our automatic bidding service is reserved for clients with VIP cards.
Sofia gave a sharp little snort. She reached into her clutch, pulled out a gold VIP card, and slapped it onto the podium.
I spend 7 figures a year here. And you? How exactly do you compare to me?
I drew in a slow breath, took out a plain black card with no logo, and placed it beside hers. Unlimited credit black card. Is that sufficient? Open the VIP account and restart the bid. A wave of startled whispers rolled through the hall. Sofia's smile faded, and her tone turned colder.
This is Marino territory. If anyone sides with her, I'll make sure they never work in this city again.
The auctioneer's face went chalk white. His voice shook as he said,
Miss, I'm just a staff member. I really can't afford to offend the Marino family.
Several guests who'd seen the whole thing started trying to persuade me.
Just let it go. I've run into Miss Lopez before. Mr. Martino indulges her in everything. Someone crossed her last month, and his entire business was gone the very next day.
Miss, even if you've got money, don't fight the Marino family. Their reach isn't something people like us can survive. Just apologize and ask Miss Lopez to forgive you before this gets worse.
Under all those cautious glances and hushed warnings, Sofia only grew more pleased with herself. She crossed her arms and came closer, wearing a smug smile. The amusement in her eyes practically sparkled.
You heard them. Get on your knees and shout, "I'm broke, and I know I was wrong." Do that, and maybe I'll let you walk out of here.
In all 26 years of my life, no one had ever dared to talk to me like that.
Say that again? What exactly do you want me to shout? Are you deaf? I said, "I'm broke, and I know I was wrong." Got it now? Loud and clear. Since you admit you're broke, hurry up and get out of here, before you drag down the Merino name.
Sophia's face flushed as she finally realized what I'd done.
You twisted my words! How dare you make fun of me!
She screeched and hurled herself at me, arms flailing like a furious chicken. It would have been funny if she weren't so noisy. I had trained with my family's bodyguards in Corvina for 10 years. I wasn't about to be intimidated. Regret. Next time you open your mouth, remember whose territory you're standing on. Gasps rippled through the hall.
Oh my God! She actually hit Mrs. Lopez!
When Mr. Marino hears about this, he'll have her chopped up and thrown into the bay.
She's done. Not even God can save her now.
I tuned their chatter out. The Marino family only stood where they did today because my father had pulled them up when they were nothing. In this city, there wasn't a single person I needed to be afraid of. I slapped my black card on the podium again. Like I said, whatever she bids, I'll pay double. Wrap the ring and hand it over. The auctioneer's knees visibly buckled. Hands shaking, he hit the authorization button and personally presented the velvet box to me. I put it into a bag and turned to leave, only for Sophia to drag herself upright and stumble back into my path.
Don't you dare leave!
I tapped the toe of my heel against the floor and glanced down. What is it? You want another practical demonstration? She instinctively took a step back. I let out a soft, dismissive laugh and pivoted toward the exit. But I didn't get far. A wall of men in black suits suddenly filled the doorway, blocking every way out. Before the guests could even process what was happening, the line of bodyguards split cleanly down the middle. A man walked through the gap they made. I looked up, and for a second my heart actually skipped. The overhead lights fell across him, outlining every inch of his frame. He had the kind of build tailors dreamed about: broad shoulders, narrow waist, long legs. His face was all sharp planes and clean edges, so perfect it looked like someone had carved it out of stone. Sophia immediately switched on the waterworks and ran to him, tears glistening.
Luca, she stole my ring and hit me.
So, this was my fiancé. No wonder my father had sworn up and down that I'd like him. He knew me too well. I was hopelessly shallow when it came to looks, and Luca fit my taste a little too perfectly. Seeing that face alone, I almost felt like forgiving his earlier attitude on the phone. I straightened, gave him my most confident smile, and introduced myself.
Hi, I'm Isa Borgia, your fiancé.
A ripple of shock moved through the crowd.
What did she say? She's Mr. Marino's fiancé.
Well, obviously, the fiancé matters more than a godsister.
Not really. It depends on who Mr. Marino actually favors.
Luca's cold gaze settled on me.
Don't flatter yourself. That engagement was my father's decision. I never agreed to it.
Sophia leaned into Luca with her head on his shoulder, her eyes sparkling with a challenge she wasn't bothering to hide.
Look at you in those cheap clothes. You really think you deserve to marry him? You're not even qualified to shine my shoes.
Someone in the crowd eagerly piled on.
Exactly. If Mr. Marino ever gets married, it'll be to a real heiress. Why would he choose a nobody from the countryside?
She looks dirty. I feel like the air smells worse already. She's nowhere near Miss Lopez's level.
I'd worn something simple. There was nothing dirty about it, but in their mouths, I'd somehow turned into a walking trash heap. People always did love kicking whoever they thought was at the bottom,